Yo, welcome to Spectator Sporting. I'm Zach Roach, along with my partner, Mr. Adi Wally. Once again, we got our two draft gurus in the building. Mr. J Knight and Mr. Akeem is back with us to talk about defensive NFL Draft 2021 picks. They're gonna feed us and give us some insight. Make sure you go to the Spectator YouTube page, hit that bell, go ahead and subscribe, leave comments. We do respond. We talked about the offense last time we was together. Now it's time to talk about the defense. I mean, you got to be able to stop the ball, and it always starts at your front seven, the line of scrimmage. So I'm going to start with you, Akeem, on this one. Tell me about the defensive tackles. Who you like, and give me like your top three defensive tackles that you like coming out of this draft.
This year's defensive tackle class is it's a unique one, actually. You got the Belmore guy from Alabama. He's a typical Alabama guy. Big, strong, built like a, I can curse, right?
Yeah,
built like a brick shit house, right?
Wow. Alright.
Just, the thing with Alabama guys, when they come to the league, they've been in the program, they know their job. He's a massive human being. I mean, these guys are huge, the big ugly guys, right? He's good. Also, the LSU guy, LSU D tackle, he's pretty solid. I think he's going to be phenomenal. And my favorite one, Washington, UW, they have a defensive tackle. I don't want to butcher his name, so Jay Knight, what is his name? Go ahead and do it. What is his name? What is his name?
These African names, my Nigerian friends going to be mad to butcher this. Levi Owusu-koramoah.
There we go. This kid here, I think he's so unique in that you can put him at a 3 technique, you can put him on the nose, you can line him up at a defensive end, and he can go to work. I think he ran a 4.8 or 4.7 40, so he has the tools to be one of those elite guys coming in. But this D tackle class is overall underwhelming, so maybe mid to late first round and he'll get picked up. So we'll see, depending on what the team's needs are.
Christian Berman, you talking about him from Alabama. Yep. Is he a first rounder?
I would say top 35.
Top 35. Okay.
First round, early second round.
Okay.
Defense wins championship at the end of the day, as what we saw with Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Jay Knight, same question to you. What's up with the defensive tackles that's coming into the draft this year?
So defense to me is, offense is about playmakers, quarterbacks are playmakers, right? Defense is about play takers and play disruptors. Mm-hmm. So that's what you're going to look for. Obviously, Christian is the number one D lineman. You cannot go against Bama for anything that they do. Things I like, he's strong at the point of attack. He has a high motor. He's athletic at 6'5", 310. He's still lean. He has great frame. Still hasn't really hit his ceiling, which is great. A lot of Bama players, just like Texas high school football players, once they get out of college, they finally hit their ceiling. He hasn't hit his ceiling yet. He doesn't play with any finesse, so he needs to work on some of his pass rushing moves. He plays a little high, but he's dominated great competition. So if you look at how he played against Notre Dame and Ohio State in the playoffs, he dominated two very good offensive lines, two great offensive lines. So that's what you look for in a D tackle. Somebody I really love is Davion Dixon from Iowa. Shout out to my man Ed Roselle and your Iowa Hawkeyes. I show you guys love. 6'3", 305. Now, if there's a game you want to watch, look at what he's done against Penn State. He was an absolute monster against Penn State. He's fast, twitch, and athletic. I think he's the most athletic defensive tackle in the draft. He's versatile. You can maybe even put him as a 3-4 defensive end if you need to. High motor, explosive, great lateral movement. His hands can improve. He doesn't have the greatest hands. He doesn't get off of blocks when he gets engaged, but he's violent at the point of attack. And one thing you want for defensive tackles, especially, you want them violent at the point of attack. You want violent hands, and that's how they teach. A couple other D tackles I look at. You talked about Levi. Gentleman named Alum McNeil from out of North Carolina State, 6'2", 320. Now he's a run stopper. He's also great at the point of attack. He doesn't have any pass rush moves. It's almost like the North Carolina State just throws you out there and just says, hey, figure it out.
Right, yeah.
But he doesn't have great hands, great pass rush movement, but he's a great athlete. He's not a 3-down player is the only thing I worry about. A couple of sleepers I would look at. You talked about Tyler Shelby. You stole him from me. Osa Odigizua from UCLA. I probably butchered his name as well, so don't be mad at me. Very athletic. He's only 280 pounds, so he can grow to his frame. He might even put him out as a 3-4 defensive end, or maybe be athletic enough as DN. and I'm a Buckeye, but I watched this young man, Tommy Togiai. Watch what he did against Michigan State. Watch how he collapses the pocket. Look at the film for Clemson. Now, a lot of Buckeye fans had a lot of hopes in the national championship game because of what he did at the interior defense line, collapsing the line as a defensive tackle against Clemson. So he's a very tough, very hard pass rusher, very skilled, very violent at the point of attack. So that's two guys who are sleepers that maybe your team can get them in the 4th or 5th round, and you guys will be happy for the next 7 or 8 years with them.
Okay. All right, same question to you. How do you talk about the D tackles that's coming in the draft this year?
Well, you got a big 6'5", 310-pound Marvin Wilson from Florida State. The Seminole. All right, his height will allow him to get some deflections at the line of scrimmage. And he has an upper body strength to get off blocks quickly, and he's a violent hitter. You see him out there smacking people around. And also, you got the other guy. He's 6'4", 325 pounds, Bobby Brown III. He's from Texas.
What a name.
Yeah. No relation.
What a name.
No relation. Right. He's an Aggie from Texas A&M.
Nobody helping around.
Right. The guy on film last season, he only played 9 games. He had 7.5 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks. He has a strong bull rush, and he has a nice finesse game for a big guy with the occasional swim move. And so when you look around the league, you look at the Cowboys, they really, really need a defensive tackle. They was the 2nd worst team in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per attempt. And the Denver Broncos, they cut Jarrell Casey. He was a big disappointment to them last year. Jarrell Casey from Tennessee Titans, they traded a 7th-round pick for him before last season. Only played 3 games. They cut him, and they was the 4th worst team in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per carry. Right. And so, Vic Fangio will be pounding the table for a defensive tackle to do all this quarterback talk in Denver. I'm sure he's not too happy about that. He wants the defensive line. Like he had with Chicago with Akeem Hicks, Eddie Goldman. He needs to clog up the middle, stop the run. So those are a couple of things that needs defensive tackles.
Absolutely. Y'all named everybody I was going to talk about as well.
You know what's funny? An interesting concept I look at with D tackles is not a sexy job at all. They're like big dancing bears, right? They're massive human beings. Their job is to go get the quarterback. On the way to getting the quarterback, stop the run. So it's a tough job.
And then watch out for the screen pass.
Exactly.
They got a lot on their plate.
So I like to call it up the play up. Guys.
Absolutely. And that's
their job.
But that's one of the most important positions on the field because they are so instrumental of stopping the run and controlling the line of scrimmage. And when you got real good D tackles on your defense, it makes it so hard for the offense to do anything.
True.
There's no question about it. Let's talk about, we talked about the D tackle. You got to be able to stop the run. You got to have some bruises inside. But the NFL. We talked about these quarterbacks. You got to find somebody to go get them. You got to find somebody to bring them to the ground. Adi, I'm going to start with you on this one. Give me some edge rushers. What's your thoughts on the edge rushers and defensive ends in this draft? And give me a couple that you like.
Yeah. It seemed like some was going later in the draft, not too high in the 1st round. But the Georgia Bulldog, Azeez Ojulari, in 10 games last year, he had 3 forced fumbles, 8.5 sacks, 16 quarterback hits. He knows how to use his hands to ward off offensive linemen and create separation. He has speed on the edge and power for the occasional bull rush. Then you also have the Oklahoma Sooner, Ronnie Perkins. This guy has excellent acceleration off the snap. He's strong and quick, but he needs to develop some counter moves to get those big 300-pound plus offensive linemen up off of him so he can get to the quarterback. And I got to tell you about a couple of teams that need some edge rushers. The Baltimore Ravens, they lost Yannick Ngakoue. He signed with the Raiders, 2-year deal, $26 million. And they also lost Matt Judon. He went to the New England Patriots, and so they need to get themselves an edge rusher. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they lost Bud Dupree. He went to the Tennessee Titans. Wow. And yes, TJ Watt is a killer, but he needs someone on the side. You know, the Steelers, they went on that huge slump. They collapsed at the end of the season after Bud Dupree got hurt. And so they was 11-0. So they need someone on the other side to make life easier for T.J. Watt. But those are a couple of guys I see, Ojulari and Ronnie Perkins.
Yeah, Ronnie Perkins had 16.5 sacks last year too, and missed the start of the season. So that was those were impressive numbers.
And if you look at the turnaround for Oklahoma last year, it came when Ronnie Perkins came back to the lineup. He is explosive. He is a great edge rusher. The only thing I worry about with Ronnie Perkins is in the pass game. But I think he can be a pass rush specialist. He can be a guy who can get you double-digit sacks. So, you know, NFL is a passing league. We want you to get Tom Brady when he's throwing the ball down with his hand in and off anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just spoke on it. Go ahead and speak on the front seven. Speak on somebody who can get to the quarterback. Talk about the defensive ends and edge rushers.
So the interesting thing about this year with the defensive ends, there's a lot of mystery and a lot of people who opted out. I mean, defensive ends, the reason why offensive tackles get paid so much and left tackles is because defensive ends got better. You got to protect those quarterbacks. You don't want Tom Brady getting hit. You don't want Mahomes getting hit. So there's 4 guys who I looked at that can be great. They can be boom. They can be bust. Kind of like when we talked about quarterbacks last week. The first one is Kwity Paye. Boo, Michigan. But very athletic. He's big, fast, and athletic. You know, we drafted on potential. He has a great base. He's agile. He has bend. When you talk about great pass rushers, they talk about bend, getting around the corner. He's a leader and he's resilient. His mother, you know, fled Liberia and you know he's learned a lot from his mother and a lot of leadership capabilities. He has good hands, not great. Has the tools, but didn't produce in big games. Didn't see a lot of great things in big games. Saw some pressures, but not a lot of sacks. So his production wasn't quite there. Another guy, Jason Owusu, Penn State, 6'5", 253, 4'3". That's the guy you want to come off the bus. First team all airport. He looks great.
I like that.
I know what's going on with all these Penn State defenders with 4.3s, but he's athletic and explosive. Great pro day. Is he Mike Mamula 2.0? The reason people are making thousands of dollars now training athletes because Mike Mamula learned how to train for the draft and became a first round pick and became a bust. Like I said, he lacked production in college like other elite pass rushers. He has all the tangibles of a Chase Young, but he's not Young, he's not Bosa, he's not Watts, he's not any of those elite guys from what I've seen from production. He benefits from a weak defensive end draft, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not a lot
of them this year.
Like I said, where was he versus Ohio State? You know, in big teams, 7 career sacks, and they came in blowouts against bad teams. But he does create chaos. He does create pressure, and pressure breaks pipes. It also creates interceptions, and that's what he does do. Jalen Phillips, Miami, 6'6", 260. Now, when I did a little research on him, he retired from football because of issues with concussions. UCLA, he loved the game though, so that's what brings me to him. I think he might be the second DN I would take. So he loved football so much that he transferred. He went from West Coast to East Coast, one beach to the other, went to Miami, and he went to play football because he loved the game enough to go play football. He was He was a big time recruit, had all the skills, a top 10 recruit, 5-star guy. 8 sacks, 15.5 tackles for loss in 10 games. So he has production.
Right.
You know, he's going to be a proven guy for teams. Prove that you love the game. Prove that you can stay healthy. Prove that you want to play football. He's a plus size athlete, but not overwhelming. Very good bend, slips, blocks. He can play with power. The thing that I did not like is the 2 best pass rushers he faced with Darashaw and Jackson Carman. He kind of disappeared against Clemson, against Virginia Tech. So those are things I do worry about when you play against elite talent. Head to head, I like to see what you do. There's some cornerbacks, when we talk about cornerbacks, in a couple of days, when we talk about cornerbacks, you know, they went head to head with some elite receivers and they had great battles. We didn't see any great battles. It was a one-sided battle when he played against elite offensive tackles. You talked about Aziz. 2 other guys I would suggest looking at. Carlos Basham, from Wake, 6'3", 275. He lost some weight. Kind of a bigger defensive end, but he was productive in college. 19.5 sacks, 35.5 tackles for loss. He's a true DN, old school, big, quick off the ball, good, not great bend. May grow into a 3-4 defensive end, so you don't know where he would go. You know, some teams are looking for those. Explosive, great bull rush, but no inside moves. And the other guy is Greg Russo, 6'7", 266. He opted out of Miami. I was really looking forward to seeing what he did. There was Roche, who came over from Temple, and Phillips. I wanted to see that pass rush from Miami. I wanted to see the U come back. He opted out. So I have the question, is he a one-year wonder? He had 15.5 sacks, 19.5 tackles for loss.
That's a huge season.
That's work right there.
Strong versus run, and he was a great in the pass rush. He was a go-getting kind of guy. He destroyed the rivalry games, which I love to see. If you put on a film when he played Florida State, when he played Florida, he really had some of his better games, and he's really going after it. So it shows the passion that he does have. And that's one thing you have to love as a coach, is a passion you have for the game and the hatred you have for your rivals. He got better as the season progressed. I believe he had 10 sacks in the last half of the season, so he got better. So he's just learning the position. He was a red shirt guy, and he got better as the season progressed.
Somebody Rousseau should be picked over Phillips.
No. But last thing is his lack of his overall experience.
Yeah.
You know, 1 year is a one-hit wonder. You know, I talked about that with quarterbacks. Even you have one great year, only 1 year of experience. He has room to grow. He has a high ceiling, but I think Phillips surpassed him just because of on-field production last year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you keep bringing it up, and you bringing up good points. It is so hard for the scouts and everybody to evaluate these players this year with all the COVID protocols and everybody opting out. So this is, for the GMs in the NFL, this is probably one of the hardest years ever to draft any players, no question. King, give me let's talk about these edge rushers and defensive end. Who you like?
You know, to be honest, we've been quite spoiled over the past few years with the Bosa boys, Chase Young, and now we get this class here. They're good, but they're just not what we've been accustomed to seeing.
No splash.
Yeah. Weaver, 6'5", 260, 4.37, 0 sacks. But when I'm picking in the first round, I'm looking for freak shows. I'm looking for the elite, the best of the best. I can work with him. That's some talent. You can work with him. That's worth a risk. His ceiling is a little bit higher than most. If he gets 6 sacks a year, great, it's fine. But he can do a lot better than that, obviously, based on his talent and potential. The Michigan kid, Kwity Paye. I like that name. He's 6'4", 270. I mean, he's probably one of the better edge rushers. I mean, he doesn't have any flaws. I mean, his losses are stalemates at the line of scrimmage.
Wow.
And that says a lot. If I don't see him get knocked over a lot on film, if I did see him get knocked over a lot on film, that would happen a lot more in the league on Sundays. The Phillips kid, 6'5", 265, ran a 4.5 40. I think he's the best pure pass rusher in the class. He just has that type of frame, that build that you expect from a defensive end. As I mentioned earlier, these three guys I listed, they are gifted, athletic freak shows that GMs will look for. And on defense, that is the most important position. So your job is to go get the quarterback.
Get the quarterback.
No doubt.
And two of the guys I would say I would look at is Joseph Osai from out of Texas. It's going to be interesting to see how he translates into the NFL. He could be a 3-4. He could be an outside linebacker in 3-4 who's just there to go get the quarterback. And Peyton Turner out of Houston didn't play any Power 5 teams, but dominated the competition at his level. So I think he's somebody who can kind of sneak in and be a good starter after year 2 or 3 once he gets acclimated to the league. Maybe for the Chicago Bears or one of your favorite teams. He can be a situational pass rusher, or he can be an every down guy.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's once again, y'all named the top ones, but this really defensive end. It might be somebody we not even talking about, but it don't seem like it's really a lot to choose from this year. And like you brought it up, the last couple drafts with DNs and then the edge rushers have been loaded. So
don't be surprised if you see someone from a lower tier level school or a late round pick come in and just have one hell of a season. So don't be surprised, especially with this year COVID and things of that nature. A lot of GMs are going back to the 2019 film as well to evaluate talent. So it's been a lot of work.
And looking at the DNs, Adi, have you ever been in a club at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
All right, so these are the girls you find at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning before you go to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. That's what the DN class is right now. They're 3 or 4 o'clock. They're midnight to 1:30 shift when you're looking for it or something special. So that's what the DN class is. Yeah, she could be a winner, but you know what? You might have to wait till 3 or 4 to find what you need.
The 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah. 3rd or 4th round. There you go. There you go. There you go. Man, so yeah, we'll see. Maybe we wrong about the DNs like Akeem alluded to. Maybe it's somebody out there that's going to come and storm it. We will see. Let's talk about the linebackers. You got to be able to stop the run. You got to be able to guard these tight ends out here.
Yes,
Jay Knight, talk to me about the linebackers right in this draft.
3rd best player in this draft, Micah Parsons.
Oh, absolutely.
Penn State,
Monster.
6'3", 245, runs a 4.3.
Monster.
He was an opt-out. Now, originally, I was thinking LeVar Arrington, but he could be better. You know, he's going to be outside linebacker. He's an elite athlete. He's explosive, reason, and reacts very well. What you want from a linebacker, you want him to see ball, get ball, and hit ball carrier. That's what he does very well. He's a short tackler. You're not getting out of his tackles. Very good blitzer. I believe the numbers were 30 out of 106 blitzes in his 2 years of ball, 36 pressures, 8 sacks. So he's very effective when he blitzes. He was actually one of the top defensive end prospects in the country. They wanted to play middle linebacker, so that's why he's a middle linebacker.
Right.
Lacks experience in pass rush. That's because of the scheme at Penn State, but he's like I said, he's an elite athlete. So he's going to be able to do whatever he got to do.
He's a that's a first rounder right there.
Yep. Like I said, so he's a better LeVar Arrington. I don't want to invoke the name of the GOAT of linebackers, but he's a better LeVar Arrington. He's not LT, but he's going to be a better LeVar Arrington. Now, here's a question mark. Jeremiah Owusu, and I don't know where all the defensive players get these.
A lot of Nigerians entering the NFL.
Owusu-koramoah, but he's 6'1", 215. So here's the question: where does he play?
Yeah.
So he reminds me of Chin, who went to 2nd round last year.
Jeremy Chin went to the Panthers.
And he reminds me of Isaiah Simmons. You don't know where he's going,
And
but
who was the guy that played with Arizona?
Isaiah Simmons.
No.
You talking about Buda Baker?
Oh, Buda Baker.
Nope. Buchanan. He was about 210.
Okay.
Okay.
So he's 6'1", 215. He's quick and explosive, great lateral movement. Notre Dame, when you watch the film, they had him as a walkout outside linebacker. He played over top slot receivers because he can do it all. He's smallish but effective, so he is safety size. Some people wondering if he's going to be a safety at the next level. And which really leads me to believe you got to figure out what scheme you want him in. Where do you want him? How are you going to scheme around him to make him the most effective player and the greatest version of himself? He's great in coverage. Like I said, played over the slot. Can run with receivers and tight ends in zone. Benefits from what White and David did in the Super Bowl because now people are looking for athletes who can run with those great tight ends, who can run with Travis Kelce, who can deal with these great tight ends, who can take them away. And if you really want to watch a game, watch what he did against Clemson when they upset Clemson in South Bend. There was a play where Ugalele was handing off, I believe, read option to Etienne. He hit him in the backfield, disrupted the handoff, picked it up, scoop and score. And that's one of the reasons Notre Dame upset Clemson. That's one of the reasons Notre Dame had a great season last year, because of plays like that and for him to play at linebacker. I'll talk about two more linebackers I'll get to. Collins from out of Tulsa. Zaven Collins, he's a big linebacker, 6'4", 260. He's an old school football player. He's Urlacher size, but not Urlacher's ability, but he's a throwback to the greats like a Dick Butkus. He just has a nose for the ball. He goes and gets it. He can blitz. He looks like a man amongst boys. One of the great plays I remember last year, because I had money on the game, he played Tulane. They're down to third string quarterback, and he had a pick six at the end of the game in overtime. When they were ready to score at a pick six at the end of the game, walk-off pick six. At 6'4", 260 as a linebacker, outran everybody. So has great instincts, but there's a question mark about him in space. He was a Bednarik winner, so you know he can play football. Nick Bolton, smaller size, sideline to sideline, out of Missouri. Great instincts for the ball. He's a great all-around linebacker. He was the best tackler in the SEC the last 2 years, led the SEC in tackling. And if there are two players that I would look at as maybe that could maybe fall in the draft and could be steals at linebacker, One is Chaz Surratt from out of North Carolina. He was a quarterback. He's transitioned over to linebacker. He might be a specialist. Could play in space, has a good hit for the game. There's this guy out of Ohio State, my Buckeyes, named Pete Warner. I think people doubt him. He's 6'4", about 240. He can run with tight ends. He played great in the scheme. He's a guy that I think can start from day one in an NFL team, not gonna miss a beat, not gonna miss an assignment. He can be a 10-year pro. Somebody who's not gonna be overwhelming, but he's always gonna be in the right spot.
Nice. Absolutely. So, linebackers, you brought up some good ones. Akeem, talk about these linebackers that's coming in the draft this year.
Linebacker as a whole is not impressive, but there are a few gems in there, which you did mention earlier. Linebackers, you want those fast, twitchy linebackers. As Jay Knight mentioned, see ball, get ball, come there with some bad intentions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Parsons, when you put on the tape, hey, he looks like he's running 4.4 and 4.3. He runs 4.4, 4.3.
Yep.
Freak show. First round talent. Done. Production matches the production. To some people, what happens a lot when you look at people's numbers, like, is it the scheme? Are they that talented? He's that talented. The kid from Notre Dame, I just think he's just too light. You can't play linebacker in the NFL at that size. They say he's 210. He's 200.
Yeah,
he's 200.
So he's going to.
Strong safety.
Jay Knight brought it up. Is he going to be a safety, you think?
You have to be. Because you just simply, unless he puts on the weight, I mean, if he puts on another 10 pounds and still can move at that speed, because you have to play the run, you got to deal with tight ends, you got to deal with running backs out the backfield. It's a whole gamut of things. Like you said, it depends what scheme you're in too.
Absolutely.
So that's an impact. That's definitely an impact. The Tulsa guy, you mentioned 6'4", 260. I just think the way that the football is going now, that's just too big. You have to be able to play in space at that size and weight. How long can you play at that size? Mm-hmm. I think 245 is like ideal, but to be that big, and I mean, you got to be special. Mm-hmm. I said you got to be really, really special to be that big and that fast. I don't think it adds up.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Adi, talk about these linebackers real quick.
Well, yeah, the Missouri Tiger, the inside linebacker, Nick Bolton, Jay Knight brought him up. He has excellent football IQ. He quickly recognizes what play is being ran and shoots through the gaps and delivers some solid hits. He sheds blocks well, but due to his height, he may slip in the draft. He'll be the shortest inside linebacker drafted within the first 3 rounds of this draft. He's 6 foot tall. Yeah. Now, on the other hand, you got LSU's Jabril Cox. He's 6'4", 230, and he's outstanding in coverage. Totally outstanding. The man has 9 career interceptions, 17 pass breakups.
That's great.
He did transfer from North Dakota State and went over to LSU with the Tigers, was doing his thing. But he does need to improve his run defense, and he needs to put on about 10 pounds of muscle to get up in there and get in that run game. And so I was looking at the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost Damian Wilson, their inside linebacker, to the Jaguars. And they got Anthony Hitchens. He's mediocre. They need to upgrade there. And the Detroit Lions, their 2017 inside linebacker, first round pick, Jarrett Davis. He's been falling off every season. They do have Jamie Collins, but he'll be 32 next season. They need some young blood there. They got a new coaching staff. They need to upgrade there. So now, and I'm surprised Jay Knight can bring up the man Browning, the linebacker. He had a nice strip sack in the national championship game, right?
He's from
the Ohio State.
the Buckeye, Browning.
Ultimate homer.
That's your boy.
And Adi, you do a lot of great research. So I was surprised you didn't bring up Jamin Davis. I was saving him for you. I was saving him for you. 6'4", 234, the ultimate athlete, long, fast, athletic. Is somebody that Mel Kiper loves to talk about. Gets off blocks. He plays a little high in coverage. Plays a little high, question mark in coverage. But I mean, he was a monster in the SEC.